So you're in midlife and you know you want to change. You feel there's more to life, and you're right. I'm going to be sharing with you here some stuff that may be new to you or different from what you've experienced. And if you like what I have to say, please remember to like this post, to subscribe to my channel, and to comment below. So in midlife, when we're thinking about change, we often focus on career. It can become sort of like the easy culprit, if you will. But your career may not be the main issue feeding your unhappiness, I'm sorry to say. It may be part of it for sure, but there may be more to it than you're thinking. Let's start from a place where you're experiencing some unhappiness in your midlife, and that unhappiness isn't going to be resolved from finding a new job or a new relationship or even a new city to move to. That's not what's going to bring you happiness. I'm here to share with you that the answer to your happiness resides within you right now. It's just waiting to be discovered. Let me take a step back, or let's take a step back and look at this a little bit more fully. So everything in life starts with a thought. All great inventions, obviously, every piece of art, every kind gesture started with a thought. There's always a spark of potential that grows into something real. And we have that same potential inside of us. Each of us does right now. We are beings of full potentiality, and it's at every level in our cells. The problem is we don't pay attention. We don't pay attention to our thoughts. We kind of go about our lives with not really paying attention to what's going on in our minds, unfortunately. So we live busy lives. We're reacting to the world around us. We're kind of going on autopilot. We get up, we go to work, we do our activities, we come home, we sleep, wash, rinse, repeat. We just keep in that cycle, right? Our past experiences tend to dictate what's going on in our present realities. And we end up living in this loop of old behaviors, old beliefs, old emotions. And we get frustrated that change isn't happening to us. And it starts to feel like, well, maybe it's impossible. I want you to take the next bit and take it really in, like really listen to these words. Your thoughts create your reality. I'm going to say that again. Your thoughts create your reality. And that's all the time. Whether you're having a great experience and feeling ecstatic, or whether you're having a miserable day and just feeling awful, your thoughts shape every minute of every day. And you may think, well, Loren, my life is a mess. There's no way my thoughts can be responsible for all that. I'm going to ask you to think again. Have an open mind. And don't close this off because you're feeling defensive. Just keep an open mind here. Remember, your life is a reflection of your thoughts, and it's a reflection of your thoughts back to you. So what you're seeing is a result of your thoughts. So look at it this way. If you have a messy life, you've got messy thoughts. Use this term garbage in, garbage out, right? I know that sounds harsh, but we want to really deconstruct what's going on here. Now listen to this, and I'm going to say this twice as well. You can change your thoughts. You can change your thoughts. You know that old dictum that people don't change? Absolutely untrue. So quantum physics, for example, tells us that everything is just energy. Your thoughts are energy. Your body is energy. Whatever you're sitting on right now is energy. And all that energy vibrates at a certain frequency. And energy responds to energy. Like energies attract other similar energies. So when you change your thoughts, you change the energy of your life. Nothing changes without a change in the energy field. And from a neuroscience point of view, every time you have a thought, your brain fires a series of neurons. These neurons connect in networks called neural networks. And so the more you think a particular thought, the stronger those neural networks become. These deep thoughts and these deep grooves and these deep neural networks become the easy way of being, because the mind likes an easy track forward. So negative or unhelpful thoughts, you may have these for years, and they carve a really deep pathway in the brain. It's the path of lack, the path of fear, the path of I'm not good enough. And those paths run deep. Again, because your brain is such an efficient machine, it's always looking for the path of least resistance. And so it goes to the familiar. But that doesn't mean it's good. So the project becomes then, how do we carve new paths in the brain and create new neural networks through focused attention and repetition? By consciously choosing new thoughts and repeating them, we can start to create new default thoughts, new default neural pathways, neural networks. The best way to achieve this is through meditation. And some people get confused about meditation. They think it's, oh, this relaxing stuff where I'm just going to clear the mind. It's about becoming aware of thoughts and then consciously choosing new ones. So it's more than just relaxing and clearing the mind. It's actually a connection to your thoughts. It is a process to rewire the brain. So you're going to step out of the autopilot mode that most of us live in and become aware of your thoughts, become aware of your emotions, become aware of your body. In this awareness, you start to cultivate a choice. You choose to keep thinking the same old thoughts and feelings, and you can choose not to. You can choose something new. Imagine what it would be like if every fiber of your being you believed you can achieve anything. That each day you woke up and were excited to face the day because you knew you were about to shape it. And that you had the power to face challenges not from a place of fear, which most of us do, but from a place of curiosity and confidence. That's what changing your thoughts will look like. And you have the power to do this within you right now. It isn't just about thinking positive thoughts on occasion. So we get into the moments where I'm going to think positively, I'm going to repeat a mantra. Well, repeating a mantra or affirmations in the mirror for 5 minutes every morning and then going about your day as usual isn't actually going to do a whole heck of a lot. It needs to become a new way of being. So the thoughts and the being, these are two different levels. And this is where people drop the ball. They get excited about an idea of changing and they start working towards it. Maybe they start some meditating and they start to think a little bit more positively. But guess what happens? Life throws its usual curveball. Something negative erupts and they find themselves right back there in that old place of patterns and thinkings. And then they think that it's not working and they give up. And this is simply because they haven't spent enough time rewiring their brains quite yet. It does take time and consistent practice to make new thoughts automatic, and so that those new thoughts will override those old thought patterns. Just think of a new skill or effort that you're practicing. It does require an uphill battle initially. I like to think of when you're learning a new piece of software, those first few moments in there are so frustrating. And then bit by bit, you might go do a YouTube tutorial or whatever you need to do, you figure it out. And in that figuring out, the brain is creating new neural pathways. And it will do the same thing as you're starting to rethink, to think differently, to rethink how you're thinking. If your flavor of negative thoughts is, I'm not good enough, or bad things always happen to me, those are strong pathways. So practicing the new ones with consistency is so important. You need to do it every day. And here's the thing, even when you don't feel like it. So I've had people tell me in the past that, oh, I didn't do my meditation today, it just didn't feel right. And I'm like, darn, because you know what? In those moments when you're feeling the resistance to the practice, there's that tension there, and that's actually probably signaling a breakthrough is about to happen because those old patterns are fighting back. They're trying to reassert themselves. They're trying to say, I'm in control here. And these are the times where you do have an opportunity to bust through and make some real change. So just do your practice consistently. Change your thoughts on rewiring your brain. It starts with this awareness that you're going to be building. What are your current thoughts and patterns? I'm going to invite you to start paying attention to this. Maybe you have a little notepad and you just keep it in your shirt pocket or somewhere if you're old school. Or maybe you've got a note app on your phone. And I want to invite you to watch your thoughts and just notice recurring patterns of thinking, when they come up, how they come up, when you're triggered, these kinds of things. And I want you not to judge any of this. You're just doing this little activity over the next few days to become aware. And this will help you to see where you're falling into patterns of negative thinking. And then you can start to ask some questions about those thoughts. Is that thought really real? So when a thought comes up, an impulse, something triggered it, you can pause and say, is that thought really real though? And is that thought serving me? If not, what would a better thought be that would serve me? So you're going to start to infiltrate the thinking loops, right? And this is where you can introduce new and more empowering thoughts. Again, it's like going to the gym for the first time. I don't know how to use that dumbbell. Well, you figure it out. Here I'm giving you some instructions. You're going to ask questions of those recurring thoughts. Is it real? Is there another thought that would be more helpful right now? And this is, you're starting to break the old pattern and create a new one. And this needs to be repeated over and over again. But here's the thing too, it's more than just thinking about them. You need to feel them. And so how do you feel the thoughts, the powerful positive thoughts you're replacing those old unhelpful thoughts with? Visualization. So visualization on top of the rethinking is really, really important. So you may have tried visualization in the past, but think of it this way. This is a really powerful tool for rewiring your brain. When you're vividly imagining something, the brain doesn't really have the capacity to know, is that happening out there in the external world, or is it an imagination thing that's going on in the brain? It will respond accordingly to whatever it is that you're feeling. So it begins to fire off those new neurons and create new neural pathways. So this is how you do it. This is how you begin the work. You have that new discussion in your head, but you're also visualizing what that looks like. When you visualize yourself succeeding, for example, imagining yourself feeling confident and capable, you're literally beginning to rewire your brain. The new neural pathways support new beliefs about yourself. To many people, they treat visualization maybe a little bit like daydreaming, and I would suggest that's not sufficient or not all that helpful, not the best way. It's not enough just to imagine things are happening. There's also the emotional feeling component of what that looks like. So you need to engage your emotions as well. So visualizing and what does that feel like to truly rewire the brain. So really feel the joy of what that vision is. Really feel the satisfaction of what that visualization is. So feel it in your body. Oftentimes you'll feel like a softening in the chest area, in the heart. You might feel your face kind of soften into a smile. You might even feel a little bit teary just by creating this visualization of yourself, this powerful being in the future. This is how you create lasting change, my friend. This is how you rewire your brain for success. If you're thinking, yeah, Loren, I've tried positive thinking before, it doesn't work for me. I want you to get out of that closed mindset and move into a growth mindset. Ask yourself, did you practice consistently every day? And even when you didn't feel like it, did you engage your emotions when you were in the practice that you were doing, the positive thinking that you were doing? Because oftentimes that's what's missed. Did you give up after a couple of days and just revert to old patterns thinking, I can't do this, it's not working for me? Real change takes time. It takes time and it takes effort. This consistency is important, but hey, the results are going to be worth it because when you change your thoughts, you change your life, literally. Because your thoughts influence your emotions influence your actions create your life. This chain of reactions starts in your mind, though. That's where it starts. When you believe you are capable, you are more likely to take on challenges. When you take on challenges, you are more likely to succeed. When you succeed, this reinforces your belief in your capabilities. You see how this works, right? It becomes an upward spiral of growth and achievement. However, when you believe you are not capable, when you are less likely to try to do new things, and obviously then less likely to succeed, and then when you don't succeed, this reinforces the negative loop of being incapable. It's a trap. And so it's a downward spiral of doubt, misery, and missed opportunities. So which spiral are you going to choose? You get to choose. Are you going to spiral up or are you going to continue to spiral down? Here's the thing, you don't have to wait either. You can choose right now to start having those new thoughts right now. And you choose them again and again. And you choose them when it's easy and you choose them when it's hard. You choose them when you're feeling great and you choose them when you're feeling terrible. But you choose them. You choose them until they become the new normal. And this is where meditation is super powerful because you're training your brain to be focused. You're creating the ability to choose thoughts consciously rather than reacting automatically. We react so much as humans. In meditation, you're able to observe your thoughts and without judgment, you let go and you get to come out from them and let them move through you. This skill then becomes carried into your daily life. So it's not just something you do in those 5, 10, 15 minutes of meditation. This act of observing your thoughts and let them come up and then not getting caught up in them, but just being that observer, it's really, really powerful when you're able to do that in your daily life. You'll be able to notice when you're falling into old thought patterns. You get to choose new ones when you're doing that, when you observe them. And meditation isn't simply about managing thoughts either, though. Here's the beautiful part about it. This is what I love about it so much. It's about connecting to something way bigger than yourself. In meditation, you're tapping into a field, this big field of infinite possibilities. Now, it may not feel like it the first few times you do it, but trust me, as you get more adept, you feel it. So you're entering, it has different names: the quantum field, universal consciousness, God, right? Whatever name you want to give this big force, it doesn't matter because it's there and you connect to it. In deep meditation, you can experience a profound sense of connection with it and, frankly, with everything. So in feeling that connection with everything, you start to recognize the artificial boundaries that we create between ourselves and everything else. This sense of separation that we have, which feeds a lot of our misery, frankly. In this space of oneness or unity, you can access creativity beyond your normal consciousness and your conscious awareness. So you start to be more creative, to be able to solve problems with different solutions that you wouldn't have had in the past. This is where true transformation happens. It happens in this field of infinite possibilities. You realize you are not limited by your past as well. You're not limited by your circumstances. And you're not limited by what you currently believe in. This is where we get stuck. And I want to impress upon you, this isn't spiritual talk. In quantum physics, it's the quantum field where everything is interconnected because everything is simply energy. You, as a conscious observer, have the power to influence that energy through your intentions and through what you're focusing on. Let's think about setting some clear intentions. That's really, really important. By setting intentions, you are directing your energy. You're telling the universe, this is what I want. This is what I choose to create. And when you combine that clear intention with your elevated emotions, more joy, more peace, more gratitude, more love, you become a powerful creative force. There is a trick to this. You have to feel it first before it will happen. So another layer here. You have to embody the emotions you desire in the future, in this present moment. That's the quantum you, the you that exists in a state of pure potential, not bound by past experiences or current circumstances. The quantum you knows that anything is possible because it's happening already. When you align with this and think and feel from this place of potential, you draw the potential into your physical reality. This is where many people struggle. They can intellectually understand the concept, but struggle to feel it, to truly believe in possibilities beyond their current experience or current situation. This is why practice is important. So daily meditation and visualization are necessary. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, and you start to see evidence showing up in your life. How so? Well, synchronicities start to happen, these amazing coincidences, these gifts from the universe, I call them, that support your new intentions. You'll start to see opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have noticed. You start to handle challenges in a different way where it feels easier. It doesn't feel like conflict. You can move through it. And all of these experiences start to reinforce this new thinking that you're doing. This is evidence that supports your new beliefs and what you're becoming and how you're getting stronger. You can't wait for the evidence, though. You do have to believe first. You have to feel it first. So live as if your desired future is already here. I'll say that again. Live as if your desired future is already here. I know, right? So this isn't about pretending or deceiving. It's aligning your energy with the future you want to create. Becoming that person who has already achieved your goals and dreams. The old patterns will persist. They will, because the ego is strong and it wants to control the situation. It'll say, who are you to think you can do this? You can't achieve that. That old programming in your brain wants to stay in control, but you can override it. This consistent use of thoughts, new feelings, new emotions, and consistently taking actions that align with your new self, that's where it's all at. And this is where, again, people will give up. Without seeing immediate results, they think, this is futile. I can't do this. But remember, transformation doesn't happen overnight. You've lived how many years? Your formation of who you are has taken decades. So don't think that it's going to change overnight, but it will change. It'll happen little by little, day by day. Just like going to the gym, you can't expect to go for 1 or 2 workouts and see transformation in your body. But over a period of months and years, your body changes its form. Each time you think a new thought, experience a new emotion, or take an inspired action, you're reshaping your brain, you're reshaping your energy field, you're reshaping your life. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, just like working out. It starts to feel natural. This is the power of neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. New thoughts, new skills create new neural pathways. Repeating them often and practicing those skills creates this stronger connections. And that's what we're aiming for here. This also applies to unlearning patterns. So those old patterns that have kept us stuck, kept us living in the past, kept that little version of ourselves, keeping us small and safe. When you stop reinforcing those old beliefs, those neural pathways will weaken. And so the new positive neural pathways are going to become stronger. They become the new default for you. And so no matter how long you've been thinking a certain way or having these ingrained habits and patterns of beliefs, they will change. The past does not have to dictate your future. You have the power to rewire your brain. And this is at any age or any stage of life. So in midlife, we can still do this. This is actually the best time to be working on this project, in my view. But you have to be willing to get uncomfortable because we know growth doesn't happen inside the comfort zone. It happens outside the comfort zone. So the awkwardness of learning something new, of thinking in new ways, it'll feel unnatural. It's going to. And your brain will try to pull you back to those old familiar grooves and paths, right? This is why so many of us stay stuck in the patterns of the past and we can't really change and we get frustrated. But getting uncomfortable is what you need to do. And even though it's not fun, you can do it. You can push through those awkward stages and just make the effort to do so. Pushing through and embracing awkwardness is where real transformation happens. You become the person you're always known you can be when you're doing this work. And as you transform your thoughts, you transform your life. Your outer world becomes a reflection of your inner world. So things around you start to change. You change your thoughts, your emotions, your activity. You start to shift the energy and start acting and attracting new people and acting in new ways and having different opportunities show up. You start creating different experiences. You change how you're interacting with the world around you. And it's super powerful. Everything you need to transform your life is inside you right now. The power to change your thoughts, the power to change your emotions, and the power to change your energy is within you. So I hope this has been helpful in some way. And I would invite you to reflect on it and maybe listen to it again a few times, because to change anything, we need some repetition, right? Repetition is really putting in the reps, as they say, is the way that we affect change. Just like you're going to be changing your thoughts consistently and having to come back, redo, rethink, redo, rethink, refeel, believe, all of that. This is what will help you. And so this is a tool for you in moving forward. I hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the future.